Hey, thanks for tuning in to Wednesday's contribution stream. This one is sponsored by Palantir.net, just like all the other Wednesday streams for the past few months. They are a remote first agile company that gives back to the Drupal project and community. They've been sponsoring my time to work on Drupal Rector, which takes the Rector project and makes it fix Drupal deprecated code. phpstan-drupal and the upgrade status module to help us with the Drupal 8 to 9 upgrade, and next year for the Drupal 9 to Drupal 10 upgrade. If you're interested in looking for a Drupal job, they are hiring for a Drupal engineer. You can go to their website and learn more and apply today at www.palantir.net. So again, thanks Palantir for sponsoring these live streams. It has had tremendous impact with the tooling that everybody uses for the Drupal upgrades. And talking about tremendous impact, or just tremendous in general, why is this airing? Oh, I got logged out of Simply Test. phpstan 1.0 is coming out on Monday, which is pretty wild. So on November 1st, 2021, phpstan 1.0 will come out. The joke was about doing November 11th, but that's pretty close to PHP 8.1's release. So I started working on this earlier thanks to the sponsorships from my GitHub sponsors. But now I'm going to use this stream to get this tidied up because I ran out of time to work on it, and we need to have this ready in less than a few days. So it's almost there. I just have a few things that need to be fixed up, and we're going to go through that now. Previously, last Wednesday, I was working on detecting if pre-render or other like form and render API callbacks implemented trusted callbacks, which is what this branch is for. But I need to halt that development so I can work on, git diff, so I can work on this next step. Let's do git commit, lower my volume. Git commit AV, update test. Not sure what I was going for there, but I'd rather save it than get rid of it. So everything's up to date. Now I got to do composer update so that I can get all of the goodies that are needed. And what was really awesome is why is my keyboard almost dead? It was charging all of yesterday. So this summarizes how my entire fall has been going. Oh, never mind. It was my keyboard or my mouse that needed to be plugged in, not my keyboard this entire time. So that's plugged in now. Yeah, the super awesome post that came in about how to get ready, and he posted this to every single project that integrates with phpstan, which is above and beyond what a lot of maintainers do, and known BC breaks. So I had to add phpstan 1.0 minimum stability dev and prefer stable to true, and that allows us to get phpstan dev. Woohoo! So this is running. Now I need to review what our failures were. So call to deprecated method, resolve constant name is 1. So I have that here on access deprecated constant. So we use this to check if a global deprecated constant is accessed. And that was deprecated. So I need to wait for the indexing to finish so I can see what can be replaced with. Maybe I can get into phpstan itself faster than the indexing. So if you look at the broker, resolve constant name, use, reflection provider. Okay, so we need to use the reflection provider directly. It looks like a lot of the broker has been deprecated for the more specific reflection providers. So that can be done. So let's do copy paste, reflection provider. So copy and paste all of this. Delete the broker. simplify. Nope, don't import. Simplify the fully qualified name. And then on here we'll say reflection provider. And there should be a test for this. At least I hope I wrote a test for it. Test collapse the fixture source. Yeah. The entire broker class is deprecated. So it is. The class itself doesn't have a deprecated message on it, but every method does. Okay. So for those who didn't dive into the internals of phpstan, basically the broker was like the entire reflection repository. And now that we actually have a reflection provider, which is an interface, and now we have different reflections that can be used, reflection providers, instead of just the broker as a whole. So let me constant. Okay, so I guess I just have to do this entire test run. Let's run it. Although it's funny that I could commit and get GitHub to run it faster than it does on my Mac locally. Oh, only tested on 8.x.x, and I have Drupal core 9 locally, so I am going to push this and see what the test results say. I'm just going to say fix usages of deprecated, resolve constant name. Let's push it. What's the one warning? I want to know why PHPStorm does this with the phpstan integration. It says at least one path must be specified to analyze when doing the commit checks. So we'll let this run through. So now I have a class calling. So I have a rule that extends a rule inside of phpstan, the enhanced require pair construct rule. The problem is that Drupal, in Drupal with our YAML plugin managers, we skip calling the parent constructor, and the idea was to stop that from running, or at least make it. That's why it's called enhanced. Is like, hey, we're gonna allow not calling construct when it's a YAML based plugin manager, because we need to override the construct to say use a YAML discovery. Hindsight, I don't know why Drupal has it to be so difficult out of the box to switch from annotation to YAML based discovery. And it's like this, make sure you copy and paste these constructors around so that way you're aware of it. But that's going to be the last step needed, at least I hope. Yep. The last two errors are about the extending. So I wrote this. How long ago did I write this? 2018, when I was first experimenting with it. So let's see. Where is this used? Class name Clover. Is this even used properly? Or how is it swapped? Let's delete this Clover. Config. It's not even in the config. Is this dead code? This might just be dead code in here. All right, let's look at the extension.yaml. The Bootstrap files exclude file extensions, Drupal root, entities type storage mapping, the parameter schema, rules. So yeah, so it's not in the rules. Scourge function, which I feel like some of these I want to remove from being default rules and just say, like, if you want to add these, add them. Services, entity type manager, container, service, load includes, modules includes, annotation, deprecate. This doesn't exist anywhere in the code base. I can't, no commits. It's in the code. Let's see. No. Add rules for handling plugin managers. So the extension .neon rules plugin manager inspect rule, plugin manager inspection. I show as the diff is going way out. Yeah. So YAML plugin manager should not invoke its parent constructor. How or why? All right, so 2018, 19, 18, move plugin cache manager back into its own class. This was added here. Rules override. Oh. Rules override extension. Oh, that got okay. Improve type coverage. So there used to be more. Let me just try to see. So there used to be a rules override. By the way, I used to do some really hacky things with phpstan in this. So maybe, I guess that could be why. Let's see if there's a way I can search for it in reset filters. Let's see. 19, add debug, workaround globals, should not happen. Level 8, verify service mapping works, clean up service map and remove legacy extension. Service map. So it's gone before here. Excuse me. All right. Average autoloader. Renamed from proof of rewrite away from netdi extension. So something happened when phpstan 0.12 came out. I think had all the deprecated core, mark conflicts. When did I add this and remove it? Boom, Drupal Finder. Add testing, update, fix the sniff. I wish there was an easier way to find like, hey, this file was removed at blank time. I am not remembering when I removed this. 19. Right, that was in January of 19. So let's see. Let's see, branch. Let's go here, try to make it a little bit easier to read. Fix autoloading of base classes. Document the root parameter. That's when I added some testing. Update bootstrap.php. netdi fixes. Extensions. So it still had it here. phpstan dependency injection. Let's see if I can just. Oh, here we go. So yeah, so okay, so yeah, this was back before when I wasn't using an autoloader. So I guess There is no way. This code is dead. And what I think folks will have to do if they decide to keep, if they do analyzing, is they'll need to, oh yeah, we were trying to like alter the compiled container. They'll just have to use like inline code commenting to say to ignore this certain rule. But the good news is you can delete that because it's dead code. Let's copy the name, delete dead code. Let's do commit and push. And nobody's really opened issues about, but then again, most people using Drupal don't actually do full-on static analysis. They're doing deprecations. I wish they would do full-on static analysis. But we can revisit that later if need be. Let's see if something's passing or failing. The hard part is going to be that once I merge this, all my existing pull requests will have to be redone or recreated because we had to change the namespace, and maybe before I even merge this, I want to fix the namespacing and how files are set up. So the namespace at mglommen phpstan-drupal. Oh, we still have some errors, and it's just type, I guess, rules. Maybe it's fine, as in it's here. Part of me is like, should be mglommen phpstan/drupal, because what if I make other phpstan based projects? But should be fine. I need to fix the, wait. So we couldn't find the test and namespace. I gotta fix. When it doesn't auto load, whatever. It should have worked because it just had a class map, but it didn't. So I'm going to cheat a little and see. Well, that's not gonna work in there. Oh boy, github.com, php. Oh, this doesn't even, oh, because I need to do dash source. Hello dev. Okay, it does actually have test, whatever. I will fix these tests. It's just weird that it passed locally but failed here. So I'm gonna run this on my machine. Okay. It did error. So we need to replace search, find in files, and we'll do edit, find, replace in files, phpstan/Drupal with mglommen phpstan-Drupal. Replace. Let's do replace all. See if that works. Probably need to do a composer update for the class map to work. Oh, shoot. I already did composer update. I think instead of doing composer update, I could have just done composer dump autoload, which regenerates the autoloader. I could have used composer dump autoload. Oh, come on. Oh boy. I'm just going to go through and manually fix these. So let's see. Analyzer test base. Call this test. Oh, this needs to be analyze is not backward compatible promise. This might change. I should probably run tests against or analyze against the test. Let's just ditch the class auto load. Just going to ditch the class map. Let's say tests is test source. JSON does not allow such tokens. What do you mean allows what such tokens? Okay, there we go. That's fixed. That's happy. Let's do composer dump auto load. All right. So Bootstrap. This is tests. Extends test case. So if we change this to be tests, I'm going to copy it. Test class, analyze. Okay, so this is then also the, let's delete this usage so we can properly import it. Oh, wait. Extension. There we go. So let's copy the reference. Oh, copy reference. Covers non-existing entity. Yes, it does. Oh, dang it. All right, there. Now we don't have an issue. Void. So I can just replace that. Add void. Real. Void, and let's see, composer JSON required dev. Do I have? No. One thing I should do is if I go to phpstan-dev. So I'm using the phpsec prophecy and extension library. There is one for that prophecy. Is there? Hold on. It hasn't been active in a while. And needs to get ready for 1.0. So I'm not about to add that right now because I don't think it would work. All right, so that's, so to get back on focus, so tests. Test rules. Test there. Just adding tests to the namespace. All right, Let's try running the test locally. Nah, it's wrong. All right, let's run the tests. We got one error. phpstan plugin manager inspection rule not found. Where's this located at? I need to update the namespaces in here. Oh, actually, all of this. Let's see. Fix. Let's run the test. Do it quick. So fix namespaces and extension neon. Let's commit that. Then we'll do a fix testing namespaces. I'm gonna push because I don't know why that's hanging. And now it made PHP Storm hang. So now you gotta let that unfreeze. While that's freezing or hanging, let me get to phpstan-drupal. Let me just make sure the status. All right, git commit AV, fix testing namespaces. Do a push. Oh man, I don't want PHP Storm to have to be restarted. Why is it doing this? Well, this failed. Why did this fail? Test core.php. Error thrown in. Drupal autoloader, that's got incorrect class. Hold on one second. Let me force quit PHP Storm. It'd be horrible if I decided to force quit OBS and kill my stream. All right. I don't know why. So let's do PHP Storm. That happened. But we'll get it back up and running. Let's see. So we did the build integration and that failed. Let's look at the tests. Why did the tests fail? Again, okay. Drupal autoloader not found. Bootstrap.php. Import, simplify. All right. So that should fix another test. What I should do is PHP unit hack. Okay, so that fixes the PHP. That's a whole rabbit hole. I don't really want to explain at the moment, but there was some really wild PHP unit things that we do in Drupal. Fix namespace in Drupal autoloader. So commit and push. So one item that we'll want to look at is, if we go to PHP, phpstan. So if we analyze our source directory, we're okay. Actually, I think I want to add more to it. So if we go to phpstan-dev, documentation, baselines, command line usage, paths, configuration options, paths. So we can set the paths inside our extensions. I'm going to add that to phpstan.neon. So it's in here at paths. So we have source, so we can delete. We can just do analyze. So while we get, go back to the pull request, fix namespace and the autoloader. We have some errors in PHP unit, but what I want to also start doing is analyzing our other files. So we'll start with just the autoloaders. And see, we went from 26 to 28, so it was actually picked up. So let's see. Variable might not be defined. So if is set container. So if it's not set, instances between never, always evaluate to false. So we'll do so we have the, because I had the assert, so let's just remove the assert. It would be more explicit. So now it's just in the Drupal hack 22. So path number 1, expect string, string or false. So I'll say if altered file equals a false. When did we load this even? Oh shoot, you know what? This fixes a whole other bug, and that's been reported. Avoid false positives fixes. You know what? This is caused by the PHP unit hack that's required to fix missing return types. I wonder if that's the cause. I wonder if this is the cause. false positive in projects in Symfony. Could not process. Test case, not all right. So find file. So let's look at what find file does inside of autoload. String the path if found class. We'll just do a return. And we'll see if that helps fix it. Now we need to do parameter 3 subject expects array string, string false given, altered code. So if I'll get contents altered file, why does it not let me hover over this to just see the string? So if altered file is equal to false, string false given. It's not. Oh, so if altered code equal to false, no new should not happen exception. Attempted to found altered file, but could not get its contents to fix return types. There we go. So that should fix that one. Now it wants altered code. We'll do assert altered code. It's going to add an assert because it should never be null. Okay, so we have no errors there. Now let's commit this. So workflows, we have the workflows updated. The autoloader, PHP unit hack. Go. Analyze autoloader and PHP unit hack file. So let's commit that, and then I want to run it. I'm going to add our tests because that, oh man, this is going to be big. So let's push actually. Before I begin analyzing the tests, I want to get the failures fixed. So let's see, why did this fail? Error class mglom and PHP. Oh man, where is this? Service map factory test. All right, so this needs to be. This file needs to be cleaned up. So it's inside Drupal. We use the multi-cursor to add Drupal / service map. This needs to get included. Oh, why did the include just got purged, period? Definition. Cannot call method get alias on. Oh, too bad. Oh, assert not null. Well, why am I letting it be nullable? There we go. Yeah, why would I let it be nullable if I'm saying it's not going to be null? So we'll clean that up a bit. service, server get service, unhandled exception, that's fine. Void. Let's go ahead and, oh wait, review, not found, not found. Let's go fix these remaining errors. So Drupal integration test. Let's go see. Unsafe usage of new static. This error was improved. Test suite auto loading. Oh man, but it's got the actual errors. So there should only be one error. Let's see. Or wait. What is it? Functional JavaScript test suite should return static, but return statement is missing. Oh, I think because it says return static and it says it returns a suite. I'm just gonna comment that out. To do no. Let's see. Method should return. Return statement is missing. I need to figure out how to best test for this. So that way we can verify that the error is correct and there's no other errors that are being returned, because we're having issues with parsing these files before. So one thing I'll do is let's go into the PHP R. Nope. A. There we go. Foo equals this. If we do base name foo, oh, let's print. All right. PHP base name without extension. I don't know if there's a way to easily get that. Base name, get file to extension, parts, path info. So you do path info. I really want to do path info. File name. Oh. So we do base name foo, comma, dat PHP. Great. So let's do that. I have an idea. Expected or suite name equals base name path suffix.php. So what error message do we get back? Let's replace. There we go. Let's fix these to be self-assert, because they are static methods under the hood. So I'm going to run this test and it should pass. Oh, uncut error object of class unwind exit cannot be converted to string. What? Oh, what? Line 48. Class load include file. Test base default theme. Rule, this is the other one that was causing errors too. I wasn't even testing this. Analyzer, process node, browser test base, get ancestor with class name. And that tries to load. I'm just going to push this. I'm going to say fix service map factory test and error message and Drupal integration test. Commit push. And what in the world? Object of class. Unwind exit. PHP unwind exit. What's S? Oh, it's got to be. It's a composer thing. So if we do, oh yeah. So this is new in Composer. Or in GitHub, is they actually have now Command K is like a fancy, like a spotlight, like way to navigate. So unwind exit. It's not anywhere in here. Well, I can check those off because that's done. But the tests are still failing. Oh. Okay, so I did the wrapping wrong on this. Where did I do it? I'm guessing I need to do double escape. But if I run this, I'm getting that wild error that I don't understand. Get ancestor with class name. Memoizing reflection provider. Include file, include. Why? Asserting error. All right, so let's look at that. Internal error, expected node type, statement property, null test extension. This is where we are. And this is on statement property. Null occurred. Uproot pseudo service. That also threw an error. Failed to actually test service mapping D9. I can at least run that. So failed to ascertain at 0, match actual size 2. Why do we have internal errors? Well, so much for this being a quick, easy fix that I thought it would be. Let's debug. I'm going to debug this test to see what the internal errors are. The debugger didn't even catch. Okay. Let's put the breakpoint here. All right, did a step over. Errors, 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 dependencies. Exception. Failed asserting that is. Oh, oh. Duh. I see. Test services. Oh, this wasn't even being, this rule's not even being invoked? Oh. Everything is broken. You learn your lesson from trying to learn JS on W3 School versus, there's two versions. There's W3 School versus W3 Schools. I know, wait, really? So this is, oh. So like, I know, wait, this isn't the original. Schools is this the original that got really like clickbaity and then everybody like gave it flack and then it looks like they reinvented themselves? What's, oh, okay. Well, W3 School is a something. All right. Right now I got to figure out why this rule didn't even run. So extension.json, that neon, global Drupal dependency injection rule. Where's the rule at? Let's have the namespace correct. Yeah, why wouldn't this even run? Shoot, that's real bad. Like real bad. Oh wait. It's a services mapping. So isn't it supposed to be, yeah, it's deprecated, but this is just testing. So it is deprecated, but this is just trying to test that there's service mapping issues. What the So all right. So yeah, in this file, it should be replaced. We have another test that verifies that this is found as, these methods don't exist. So in Drupal 9, this would throw errors that you're asking for. So in Drupal 9, these two would come back as do not exist. In Drupal 8, this says does not exist, and this is deprecated, and this is accessing a deprecated service. Also, Drupal shouldn't scare you. I mean, it's a good blend between developer framework and end user, like CMS. It's not like just picking up Laravel, which is like a pure developer framework. It's kind of a good blend in between. And it has well-paying jobs too. A lot of unfilled well-paying jobs. But now I got to figure out, so this run analyzer, I have a feeling it's due to how I run tests that's broken. Oh, no, it's not. Config vendor rules. No, man, what is going on here? Yeah, so Drupal 7 drove me wild because it was like purely procedural code and I couldn't handle it, but I loved the community. And then when we got Drupal 8, I was happy. Oh, well, you're just going to pure to COBOL, RPG, and Fortran. Like, you're trying to go to a bank or an insurance company with those. Shoot. I don't know why this is broken. My head hurts already. So the good part is the build integration is passing, but the tests are broken. Yeah, trying to hit retirement quick. Yeah, if you're trying to hit retirement, don't do what I did. Well, actually, I've been a technically self-employed for the past 6 or 7 years. So, yeah, benefits have been all on my own. Same with insurance. The tech industry is not good. The tech industry is not good on the whole setting yourself up for retirement unless you go to a FANG or a bank or insurance company. Yeah, I know the K-Town Discord. So the problem is I'm super ADD and I never remember to open Discord because I don't use Discord for work, and I've got Slack with 12 different workspaces already, that then having Discord for another thing. I would like to pick it back up. It's just I never remember to open Discord. That's the worst part. That is that. Yeah, I figured. Oh, man. All right. I need to figure out how to salvage these tests right now, because I think that's the root of my problems. So let's see what happens when I run this test. Browser default theme rule test. Extends analyzer test base. And this causes an explosion. What if I comment out browser test base? It's the other part. Why do I have my classes down here when I could register them up there the same way? I'm going to cut that and see if this gets the test to run. It's still, so the test base. Are you at Snap-on? Wait, I think I remember that before. That's right. You were at a different position, then got hired up or into a business. So yeah, if you're doing RPG, Fortran, and all that, Snap-on is the way to go. For everybody that's watching who has no idea what we're referencing there, I'm from Kenosha. He's from Kenosha, and Snap-on, the tool manufacturer, is headquartered and founded here in Kenosha, which is pretty cool. They actually just celebrated 100 years in business and had a fair. Totally missed it, but it looked awesome. All right, so I think my test failures are coming from the fact that I have this janky way of trying to analyze, and that's what a bunch of these errors are coming from. 100 year and 100 beers. Cutstone Foods was there, right? So Cutstone Foods, this awesome company. They have a fire truck that they turned into a food truck with a brick oven pizza. So that's one of my family's favorites is we go and get some wood-fired pizza off the fire truck. All right, let's get to PHP Stan source, and I think I need to refactor all of my tests. Oh, one of the mini foods. Dang, so there was a lot going on. Rustic Road. Yep, I heard that Rustic Road was providing the beer. Rustic Road is one of our one of the. I know. So we have two really popular microbreweries in town, Rustic and Public, and I can't remember who was founded first. It might have been around the same time. All right, so let's. This browser test. This is exploding. I need to figure out how to salvage my PHP unit tests. So if we go to rules, let's just do classes, and so rules test case. Let's try to rewrite this test to work. Rules test case. So let's create. Yeah, write tests for my project. Oh, I love writing tests. So I'm a test-driven development fanatic. Here, not so much. So file, what is this called? Rules test case. Let's just Drupal rule. Why my CPA's calling me? Drupal rule test case .php. All right, let's try and replicate what's going on. So the reason why I'm creating a new test base class off the bat is that I know we need extra configuration for running. Like we have to say, hey, go analyze Drupal here. So tests. So this is an abstract class. Drupal rule test case that extends rules test case. And we'll try to make this work. So get additional configuration files. Maybe that's what I'll need to include. Company you work for got Tyler Technologies. What is that? Based in Plano, Texas, public sector. So yeah, so I've my life has been, before I went out and did my own thing, I was at a company called Commerce Guys that we then rebranded to be called Centauro, and worked primarily on building Drupal commerce and doing consulting through that. And then I wanted to do my own thing where kind of like an e-commerce consultant, but fiddle around because I just wanted to try new things. Drupal rule case. So let's extend Drupal rule test case. We are missing. You can try to get you to use Drupal commerce. Awesome. So it's one of those things where Drupal commerce is great if you want to build a platform, like if you want to own, if you want to really own your platform, where you build on top of Shopify and then you're locked into Shopify. You start at like $80 a month and then you go to like $300 a month, or you have like a lot of like really abstract use cases that you need to account for, which is one reason that I like Drupal as well. Like Laravel, you can get going and just but you have to build a lot of the things. But with Drupal, you get content and flexibility built into it. So return new default theme rule. It says no constructing arguments. Okay, so we've got the rule. And let's look at the test. So then it's just called test rule. This analyze the test any reference to get a bit familiar with it. Kind of. Okay, test for an API you wrote. So that's where so question I'm going to ask you there after let's see. One second. Let me make sure. So we got the array of the path. It's there. Then the errors we expect to match error messages. We no longer need this count. 1 second. So while I try to clean this up, when you say test for a whole API you wrote, do you mean like the responses inside PHP or like actually by executing the HTTP request? Because there are various testing frameworks you can use. So if you wrote it in Laravel, you could use Laravel with like their PHP unit where it's like, I know in Laravel you can do this JSON, things like assert JSON and the request object. Or if you're doing like behavior driven development, you might want to actually just use a JavaScript framework like Nightwatch or Cypress. Or there's other things out there where you write like an open API spec and then you can have the actual results compared against your open API doc. There's lots of things to do. All right, so no error, no error. Type error, testing rule case. Argument 1 must be of type array, string given. Oh, that's right. We need to fix. I need to fix this to be an array. Because it's array, then it's the line number. So I'm just going to put 12, but really it's who knows where. I don't know what line. Error builder, return error builder. That's right. So let's do. I've been told to write them, I guess, for the responses. So it's basic CRUD. So what did you write the API in? Is a good question. Error builder, message, Laravel. So that's one thing the Laravel docs are actually really awesome with is, so node, get line, 1 second. So what you could do, Laravel tests. Doc, what is it? Laravel, what is it? Let's go to Laravel while I do a little bit of multitasking. Let's run this test. So if you go to the documentation and then testing, browser test, let's see, is this want you to use Dusk? Don't do this. HTTP test. So I'll put this link into here. So that's right, paste doesn't want to work in this embed. So what you can do is you can do like response this get, pass it the path and assert various statuses. You can do like with headers, so that's where you do authentication, with cookies, session, JSON. Oh, fluent JSON testing. This has actually been pretty amazing, where you can assert JSON matches certain values, like JSON has data is missing message. Oh wait, this has been updated to have anonymous functions. So using PHP 8, that's sweet. Just check that out for the fluent JSON testing. I use this. We rolled out I have one project with Laravel that returned no errors. What the hell? So let's see, Drupal rule test case, additional. Let's see, there's get additional configuration files. We do not want the bleeding edge. Howdy, howdy, howdy. Yeah, dive into the docs. Laravel has some really good docs around the testing of those kinds of things. So let's see, we want to do return parent plus our, that's not what we want. Analyzer test base, additional configuration files. So we're testing at before, but we want to include. So we're actually going to start testing Drupal at the bleeding edge. And these configuration files. Level 2, well, we're going to remove that. So let's try running this, and we'll see how spectacularly it explodes. Why am I getting no errors? Let's put a breakpoint here and do a debug. So this is not good. So we're upgrading phpstan-drupal to phpstan 1.0 and all the tests are broken. And I can't get any of the expected failures. So that's just lovely. Oh, you know what? Because I did a plus and it already exists with the 0. So let's do return. Return array merge parent, get additional configuration files. All right, let's try that. Let's do a debug. Yeah, so do the unit. Well, I mean, technically in well, it's not really a unit test. I guess it's a unit test at that point, but you're actually asserting JSON, so it's a bit of a functional test. But with PHP unit, it's unit test style, and Laravel uses SQLite for all of its PHP unit testing. Okay, so now we've got that additional configuration files, cache key. So yeah, so use the PHP unit tests for that. I know, it's exciting having a stream chat while I lose my mind wondering why this won't work. Makes it a bit more fun. Okay, so Bootstrap Files. Bootstrap file is reflection union type. Wait, I thought the Bootstrap files was removed. Exception. Unable to detect Drupal at blank. All right, so that's what I expected to have happen. Where do we do? So autoload files get parameter Bootstrap files. Assert that it has Drupal autoloader. It did not. phpstan unit. So actually what I can do, instead of having this include, let's go ahead and change this. Yeah, so what Boomer Frank's saying, if you're doing the actual unit testing with your Laravel endpoints, just construct a controller, invoke it, and verify the array data that's returned, and trust that Laravel will serialize it properly. But if you want to do like a full functional test, that's where you would assert the output from, what's it called, Laravel. Which in this case, Laravel makes it so fast that I would also just assert the JSON returned, because that way you can verify casting. That way, you know, in the database, if it's an integer, it's not, or if it's an integer for a Boolean, it doesn't come back as 0 or 1. It's actually casted to a true or false. So that way you can match your open API spec. Vendor phpstan. Deprecation rules. Deprecation rules. What was I trying to rules? So rules.neon. Yeah, or that approach, if you're doing like true unit testing, you would have the business logic outside of your controller, so that way it can be unit tested, and then the functional test would be against the actual whatever you call it. What do you call it? The controller would be the functional test. All right. Why can't we detect Drupal? Okay, what am I doing in the analyzer? Where does Drupal root get set? Right there. Oh, container factory to fixtures Drupal. Well, that's probably why. Autoload, fail, autoload not found. Requires the autoloader. All right. Let's see. So this extension, get additional configuration files. Get parameter Drupal. So in here, config, I guess we will keep this config. Oh, here we go. Drupal PHP stan includes vendor. Let's do parameters. Drupal root. Apparently, pain in the bum is a violated word or whatever. So that's one thing you don't like about Laravel is their concept of services, like controllers, injected services not having big old controllers and skinny models. Yeah, there's that statement could be taken out of context horribly. So please, no one crop that. There's lots of things I love about Laravel, but I also completely dislike. It's great, magical. You can do a lot of things with it, and that can also be like the bad parts with it too. You know, I'm in a really interesting like dance right now where I love doing some stuff in Laravel, but then it's like I wish I had some things from Drupal that Drupal has, like the plugin manager, the entity system. I like the entity system in Drupal over Laravel models, mostly because it's so magical. Um, yeah, it's an interesting place to be. Okay, so that's it. I set the current working directory in the container, so that's why it found. That is why it was able to find Drupal. So Drupal root, let's pass as, let's just put this value in and see what happens. Unable to detect Drupal at blah. So tried Symfony. Yeah, like the one part is like Symfony is like annotations up the wazoo. You know, maybe with PHP 8 and attributes, it will be a lot more fun. I would actually like love to just see something like Symfony, but all pure attributes. But yeah, I would rather work with Laravel over Symfony, which is where I like Drupal because it's like it's got some nice parts of Symfony, but not all the parts. All right, I got to figure out why I'm not getting this parameter passed in. Drupal params, Drupal root is coming. Oh, I know why. Because in my test, I'm no longer including. So let's comment these out. An extension, test fixtures, config, PHP unit, Drupal extension. And this relative path should be expanded upon where this file exists. So let's do a debug. Drupal params, fixtures Drupal. All right. So we constructed Drupal finder, false, false. And it's to the this get Drupal root is false. So if it's to this file, one second, Drupal autoloader. Let's see. In extension.neon, it defaults to the current working directory. So current working directory, otherwise it has to be space up. So one second, I gotta test this. So if I go into source, okay, so this is what the autoloader is. Okay, let's try this path where it's ... test fixtures. And if I go into the autoloader, let's pop a breakpoint here. Are there any DB migration tools like Laravel's? In Drupal, I wish. Oh, so again, I've thought about creating this horrible menagerie of a bringing like Laravel concepts into Drupal. I've started to with my project template called Mojo that tries to make Drupal more 12-factor friendly. So one thing I do like about Laravel is it is 12-factor friendly. 12-factor friendly is just the idea of like cloud native, where you can just swap services. Laravel makes it really easy to integrate with object storage like S3 or DigitalOcean Spaces, things like that. We have the hook update system, but we don't. It's similar, but it's not the same as migration files. Where in Drupal you have .install or .post update that can go through. Link to the Mojo thing. Let me do Bluehorn Mojo. So I'll paste this here. It works pretty well. So the Mojo, just one note, I am working on getting it to automatically deploy to Kubernetes on DigitalOcean. I just haven't been able to have time to finish that out. Is valid root path. Wow. So that's not a valid root path. Shoot. What working directory is it considered in? So real path. I don't know how I can get this to be. Let's see. I need to figure out some rules test case, Git analyzer, specifier analyze. So what? Get additional configurations. Where is this used? Get additional configurations. And phpstan test case. So additional configs, test case neon, container create. So it creates the container with the temporary directory, additional config files, analyze paths for each Bootstrap files. Oh man, I need to get this to work. So container factory, container factory create, root directory, this normalized path, root directory. What root directory is the phpstan var. Man. And let's see. Create additional config files, add config, the configs. That's in the configurator. Create what goes at the bottom of create. Return container, get by type. Container, create container. This load the container. This configs, loader load. Let's drop a breakpoint here. Let's see what happens. Okay, load class. I thought that would be for the configs. Load. Oh, this is the key. So file. So class, this dynamic initialize. So turn container. Wait, add configurator, add configs. Registered by instance, get type, return to type. Shoot, we need to get an absolute path in here, but I don't know how to do that. Or I guess actually what I should do here is path. I'm going to, oh man, I hope this doesn't break stuff in people's code. I need to convert this relative path to be something absolute, and that's not going to do it. Drupal root is false, because that's not a real path. It's an invalid path. But if I was inside of test equals this. All right, I'm going to try fixtures config. So test one equals real. Test one equals real path. So that came up as an error. Test two. Test three. All right, let's debug that. Test three. Okay, so this worked as the test base. And then I'm going to try to read the chat to catch up. Real path, everything. I know. So like, I was like, oh, how can I hack the test to get the right path? It's like, well, real path, the actual path. Thank goodness. We locate the root in here. Yeah, I'm reading about migrations. Yeah, there's, so I know some people like, we don't like the Drupal one, but one of my previous jobs, we built a web hosting platform on top of Panoply and hosted about 500 sites. And the upgrade system worked really well for us. In the end, and same, like I've treated every single Drupal commerce. So like I said, building Drupal commerce for the past 6 years, every project I treated like it was a software as a service, because realistically, if it's your online store, it is software that you're running to make your business make money. Like it is your business. And I never had anything with the upgrade status system that made me regret it. Maybe just the fact that configuration synchronization and the update system are decoupled, which can be a good thing. But the fact that if you need to run schema updates, that's completely disassociated from your configuration management. So there's sometimes that kind of was like annoying and made a really odd dance. But that's about it on my end. That made it a little bit complicated. JSON, boom, boom, boom. All right, is valid root. Sweet. The tests are going to run, and it's going to give me something. No, what? Object of class unwind exit cannot be. So let's do a breakpoint. Not is string file. In the world. And that didn't even, object of class cannot be converted to string inline. And why? Uncut error. This is the wildest thing. All right, so I wonder if it's something about that rule in particular. Object cannot be, yeah, I know it can't be converted to string. It's, what is unwind exit? Object of standard class. All right. Well, since that one's not cooperating, I'm gonna at least try to get this config entity export rule test updated the same way to see if we can get something. I want to get this extends in place. So let's do copy the reference. Copy the reference. Oh shoot, I wanted that open so I can. So extends, rule test case, get rule, return, new config, entity export rule. What is this even for? What does this do? Oh yeah, it analyzes the deprecated annotations base rules. So reflection provider. Oh man, how do I do that? New reflection provider. It's in the test somewhere because I know I was looking at it. Type source broker. Tests. Create. Oh yeah, Drupal 8 end of life releases that are needed. I probably have a few of those that I should do, and I'm a bad person because I have not. Create reflection provider. Okay, great. So I've probably have a few of those that need to be upgraded. And then we do remove the count. Let me just say this, analyze path, error messages. This wants an array. Just put it 1. And we'll run it and we'll see what happens. Must be an array int given. Oh, yep. Delete. Oh man, that's beautiful. It worked. Okay, so the default theme is causing errors. All right, I'm almost gave a loud hand clap, but I realized the mic would pick that up and it would probably be very loud. All right, so I'm going to read the chat. One last question. When you pass an interface to a function as a parameter, does the interface need to have methods defined to the class that it matches up to? Or does the class just need to have those methods defined and the interface can be blank? So the whole point of using an interface is it's a contract that says, I don't care what the implementation is. The interface says it has this method, so I can call it. So if you had an interface that was blank, there can be benefits to that. So really, when you have a method that receives an interface, the whole point is a contract that says, I'm expecting this object to have this method, and oh, cool, I hit my follower goal. So the interface has that, or you can use the interface for doing type hints against expected functionality, like in commerce. Here, I'll give an example for you real quick. I think we ended up putting methods on all of these, but we used type hinting off of interfaces to understand functionality besides methods available. So if I go to payment source, plugin, commerce, payment gateway. So you can see here we have has instructions interface, manual payment gateway interface. supports refunds, supports voids, supports authorizations. So each of these, it has like maybe one method, but by saying like if payment gateway implements has payment instructions, we know that we can call this method. So it allows you to have conditional method logic into it. Manual payment gateway, actually this like create payment method, we have different method signatures based off the interface. So you see here, like refund payment can refund payment because it supports refunds. So it's all about your contract, and being able to say like if this object meets this type, we know that it has these methods and we can do certain things with it. I hope that answers the question. And now on to more Drupal rules. Rule test case. Get rule. Return new plugin annotation context rule. This create reflection provider. Moving back to the stream, if the interface has methods, phpstan can catch. Yeah, so that's one thing too, is like it can catch if you're assuming the wrong methods on an interface. And yeah, it allows you to guarantee that the function will actually have that method. It's the interfaces ensure that whoever wrote a class that implements that interface will always have that method. So that way you can have your code encapsulated. And think of it like, to abstract it even more, think of it like microservices, right? Your API endpoint says, if you hit this HTTP path, you will get data back. You don't care how they built the data. You don't care if the HTTP API in the back is Go, Node, PHP, a legacy Java application. You don't care what is generating the JSON for you. Shouldn't say legacy Java. Java's still relevant. So think of it that way, like an interface is like an HTTP API. Like it's a set of rules. You don't care how it was given to you. Maybe polymorphism is polymorphism. Maybe that's probably the correct word for it. I may have a degree in software engineering that I got, and I might have a book about design patterns, but I don't actually use those words because in real life, you don't use those words often, at least not in normal development. Maybe if you're in a FANG or a larger company, maybe those are thrown around more, but in my experience, they're not as much as school tells you to be. And disclaimer, like I started off learning on my own. I went to school once I got a job, so that way I could try to get more jobs. And I balanced between the wonders of was it worth it or not. Sometimes I think so. I don't remember any of the actual like the takeaways from my software engineering degree have nothing to do with software engineering as a whole. Like polymorphism, encapsulate, like some of the words just gone. The biggest takeaways I got from it was being a software team lead or a senior developer and a project team lead. The quote unquote soft skills is what I took away from it. Just being like a really good architect, like software architect, and making good decisions and working well with the team. Those were my biggest takeaways from my degree in software engineering. Unable to detect Drupal at what? Why? What? This one worked. Why didn't this one? No degrees, just internet. So interface is a contract, what a class should implement, and allows you to do like dependency injection. You don't care how it was implemented, you just know that you can call things. All right, now I got to figure out, so git rule, create reflection provider. This is here and working. Data provider. It's got the data. This is all the same. Plug in data, plug in data. analyze the path, the error messages, extends Drupal test case. But when I run this, okay, now it found Drupal, whatever. Sure, magical computer. 17 and 17. Now let's make sure this actually is the 17. Good enough. Say that's the right area. A tree without circular references and was truly struggling without any CS jargon. I mean, I don't even know how I would describe it. So 20. Okay, so 20 makes sense. I mean, to be honest, if somebody's like, oh, do a binary sort tree, I don't know what that means. I have no idea. But I also did get my software engineering degree through a online university, so I don't know how far my mileage varied on that. Maybe, which is one reason I'm skeptical of my education background. I feel like I just paid a lot of money for a piece of paper, not necessarily the good benefit. Let's see. So this test crashes. All right, so I'm gonna ignore that one for now. I still have classes that extend this. So let's go to the Bootstrap test. So rules, let's extend. Let's see. Go. Thanks for hanging out. Yeah, the tests are fixed, but I know I'm going to be spending probably some of my weekend trying to fix this. So do Drupal Bootstrap. What does this do here? Oh, and this analyzes things. Let's see. What rule could I do? I need to restore the error handler. Set error handler. I need to find a way to run this without being so let's see. Rule test case, phpstan test case. Git container. Rather, git analyzer. Analyze. This result, files, and git analyzer. Git analyzer calls this create scope factory, git parser, self git container. All right, so it's doing self git container. Do I use Docker or PHP installed locally? So when I do my Drupal development, I have Docker set up. Like I use Docker. I'll use ddev as my Docker wrapper. Way back, so I've been using Docker since 2014, back when you had to run boot to Docker. And ever since then, I've always had like a wrapper around Docker to make it easier to run Docker Compose, copy things around. I had a tool called Platform Docker. Then I adopted ddev, which is a pretty lightweight wrapper around Docker. And I use that for like my Drupal sites. With Laravel, I will use ddev when doing like my full development. But when I'm writing tests, I just use local PHP and SQLite because in my environment, I have PHP 8, my local I have PHP 8. The tests run just fine. Unless I need like custom extensions, that's when I use ddev to kind of isolate. So I have a very bare minimum host set up. So I can delete these commented lines, phpstan test case. So public static, is there anything public? Is there anything in here that's abstract? No. Or wait a second. Rule test case. Rule. Okay, so that's here. So what this Bootstrap test is doing is it ensures that when we scan some files, it doesn't break. Or rather, once this assert not empty, gathered warnings, previous error handler, equals set error handler, callable int. Let's see, maybe if this test pass, I'm gonna just skip over it for right now because this is a harder one to port. Nope. It's not. So I just need this to bootstrap Drupal. So let's see here. I guess I can do it by just calling git container. So if we change bootstrap test to extend phpstan test case, and we say static git container. So static git container, additional configuration files, cache key. It runs the Bootstrap files, which is exactly what we needed to do Drupal Bootstrap to perform. Let's see, so type. Okay, let me run it. Asking because we wasted a whole day setting up Docker PHP with Xdebug to work with Symfony. So that's one reason that I do ddev, is it's got a fancy little command where you just type ddev xdebug, or like ddev xdebug on, or ddev xdebug off, and then you get it just working. Disclaimer, I think ddev is faster and more nimble. It's anecdotal, but I feel like my container images run much faster on ddev than with Lando. And like my Lando project experience is always more sluggish. It's anecdotal. I can't prove it. And even though I know I say these words without actually backing up with proof, so I do sponsor the Lando development. It's only $9 a month, like the minimum tier, but I know that I might say things, so I at least put my money where my mouth is. Like it's open source. If you're gonna complain about something, contribute to it or don't. So that's my way of like, oh, I'm on the fence about it. Well, at least I fund its development in some way. Because open source, sustainable open source the development is important to me. All right, so self assert equals, let's see, dynamic call to self container. We'll do this to self. But yeah, I would recommend doing trying out ddev just because it simplifies your the tooling. Oh, and ddev also has a command for running xhprof, or I don't know how you'd actually say it, but you know xhprof, the profiler that Facebook built and then abandoned once they moved from PHP to Hack. It was picked up by the community. Actually, wait. No. Okay, so this is the Tideways. Okay, that's it. So it was done by Facebook, and then Tideways picked it back up. Tideways is like a competitor to Blackfire, which I primarily use Blackfire, but I'm pretty sure that the xhprof extension is maintained by Tideways now. So let's see, user warning. This should be a integer. So if we do error handler integer, message type is string, file should be string. This should be an integer. That should make that happy. Parameter 1 of callback function set error handler expects callable int string int array bool. I had the wrong type hint. See, this is why phpstan amazing. Is I had the wrong return type, and boom, it fixed it for me and said, hey, you're doing the wrong things. So let's try running this test. Clean up some of these. Handle error must have none returned. Well then, let's see. Set error handler callable. If the built-in error handler is used, null is returned, null is also returned in the case of error if the previous error handler was a class method. Does phpstan call this at all so I can see how examples? Handler bool. Well, give me an example of this. Return false, error, break, echo, return true. Okay, so we'll do that. Maybe. Sure, we'll try that out and see what happens. Failed asserting that an array is not empty. Let's go break through this and we'll make a, it's an array. What does this want me to make it be? Callable is not an array. What is this supposed to return? Callable null. Yeah, what do you want me to assign to this? That's right. I have phpstan. So phpstan supports PHP 7.1, and I'm respecting that in phpstan-drupal. Expected warnings. Invoked Drupal container out of scope. This is in the autoloader somewhere. Trigger error. Yes. All right, so I've got about 3 minutes left in my stream. Excuse me. But I want to see if I can get this next test ported over. Oh. That's not what I expected at all. So this can happen when outside of, well, shoot. Git container, Drupal modules, container not initialized. This was passing. So fixtures, Drupal, container not initialized, Drupal git path. Let's drop a breakpoint here. Yeah. Handle error. This is the Symfony bridge. Oh, shoot. Deprecation error. Okay, let's do turn null. So if it's not a warning, actually, what this should be simplified to is if there is a warning. Oh no, we don't. That's right. We don't want to call it if as return true. And here we'd want to do turn false. I guess. I actually have no idea. What is type? 2. Is that a notice? Warning? Oh, it's not user warning, it's internal warning. But why is it not scanning these files? So I gotta step into this a bit more. So load and catch errors. this should be bootstrapped, but it's not. All right, so let's play through it. Oh, all right. I need to step through. So git container. So if is not set cache key. Oh. I wonder if it's cached. I need to like kill the cache for this test. So let's see. Step in. Cache key. It's not set. Okay. Yeah, we get the errors there. Root directory file helper root do. So it's the cache key, parameter, original container, get parameter, bootstrap file, reflection union type, stubs, reflection attribute, stubs. What? Container, original container, container, methods, parameters, bootstrap files. Why didn't it have get additional? Oh man, come on. All right, it did not have everything that's needed. Because I did not overwrite the required method here. That is in Drupal Rules test case. There. Just gonna ditch the breakpoint there for a second to make sure that this is passing. Additional configuration files. Great. PHP unit Drupal. Test is running for each modules. Require one's path. What is the path? Post update.php. Did not trigger an error. Step into it. No. Man. All right. So that's supposed to throw an error because Drupal get path, Drupal get file name calls Drupal service. Oh wait, but the test did pass. All right, let me just play it. All right, it passed. Great. I'm not losing my mind after all. Deprecation rules. Okay, this is a big one. So this doesn't test a specific rule, so it's just like the bootstrap test, where it just ensures that things run. So this needs to extend phpstan test case, copy the get additional configurations. Oh, I need to analyze stuff, but I don't need a specific rule. But I'm at time, which means that I have to bounce off so I can go do a handful of other things around the house and wrap up my workday. But I'm going to commit this. Refactor tests onto phpstan test base classes. All the tests are broken. Thanks everybody for hanging and chatting. That was super fun. Thanks again, Palantir, for sponsoring these 2 hours of development, because tell you what, this is hard to do, and when I'm doing it on my free time, I don't exactly want to sit and do it because, as you can see, this is hard. It's not always the easiest thing to work on, so I really appreciate the sponsorship time to work on this. And thanks, everybody. I'll be back tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow I'll be back working on phpstan directly itself for PHP 8 compatibility. I cannot remember where I left off last week, but I know it's going to be a blast. So, see ya.